We'll start off with the very tragic incidents that occurred in the Bono region where a match between Nsoatreman and Asante Kotoko led to the death of one fan. He's called Poli.
Yeah, yes, Francis Yafrimpong.
We understand that this was occasioned by some sort of altercation that resulted in his death. We'll get you some more details on this shortly. But what do you know about this? What have you gleaned so far in terms of?
So my understanding of this is, and for me, I was shocked because a bit of background. Nsoatreman and Kotoko have a very cordial relationship.
Oh, okay.
So when I started reading the updates, I was like, what has happened? Because these are two teams who get on. When Kotoko shows up for pre-season in that part of the country, it's Nsoatreman facilities they use.
So they do a lot of friendlies.
Yes, actually. You know, they've played each other twice already this season without anything happening. They are not a team where you can say there isn't a history of bad blood between the two of them. The build up to this game indicated that there was going to be a difficult game, obviously because Kotoko are top of the league and Nsoatreman are not doing too well. But apart from that, there was nothing to indicate that this is a game that was going to get out of hand. Okay, so when the reports started coming in, that we started seeing the footage of the fights, the throwing of stones and water. 3 players were sent off. Kotoko ended the game with 8 players.
Gosh,
and I'm sure soon we will get a more detailed briefing of what happened. But from what I was able to do by engaging, from what I was able to glean by engaging my contacts there, basically things got out of hand for no reason. Basically, Kotoko got there, and the team bus encountered difficulties entering the stadium, and that is where the arguments started from, and built up to the game itself. Certain decisions they felt were not going their way, agitations of the fans, and again, nothing in this should lead
to the kind of thing that happened eventually.
To the outcome we saw, the tragic. When you watch the video of Poli lying on the ground, and for me, so many.
He seems like a lot of people know.
Yes, if you are in our fraternity, you would have heard of Poli. He's as hardcore a Kotoko fan as you will find. This is somebody who on his wedding day wore a Asante Kotoko tuxedo.
Wow. Oh, then he's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he had the Kotoko crest at the back of his tuxedo. Wow. His pre-wedding photo shoot, he was wearing a Kotoko emblazoned shirt with his wife. So this is the kind of person we're talking about. And to see him lying there in a pool of blood with emergency services very far away from him, although there was supposed to be an ambulance. And those are some of the things that, the point you made to Mr. Adams, the things that need fixing in our game are not Black Stars issues.
At all.
Black Stars is set. You understand? The things that need fixing, the real things, the infrastructure, the general architecture of what the state expects a football game to look like when one visits, fan safety. Those things are not just Ghana Football Association things. I will get to the Ghana Football Association because they're also very responsible for this. But I'm looking at this in terms of just even the poor state of the infrastructure that was available. The obviously poor emergency response that was available. Because if the emergency response had been proper, perhaps Francis would have survived.
I'm told there was a St. John's ambulance there, but
it was packed. He was lying 30 meters away from the St. John's ambulance.
And they didn't do anything, or they couldn't.
They brought the gurney, but that's what I'm asking. What exactly did they do? Because from the footage I have seen so far, it was other fans who were trying to offer some kind of first aid, but we know that none of these people would have skill in trauma care. So what were they doing? It was just the face towels that they had placed on the wound to try and stem the blood flow. But apart from that, what else was going on there? 2, how did somebody get a knife into a stadium? And again, it's about the state of our games. Our stadiums are the places where you can easily get a bottle of beer to buy and enter the stadium with it if you want to. Who is checking these things? And those are the things Mr. Adams needs to look at. I'm saying this morning, shut down Nsoatreman's stadium
immediately.
Shut it down. Somebody died, Bernard. In every place, you see that you've spoken several times about lost opportunities. In the places, the leagues that we watch and admire, an incident like this happens, the kind of review that will happen to make sure that something like this is prevented from happening. The kinds of conversations that will be had. But here we'll have a conversation perhaps for 2 weeks, but that is what we don't want to have. Francis Frimpong should not pass away just like that, be headline fodder for 2 weeks. He got married 7-8 months ago.
He was a young man.
He was a young man.
Do we know? Okay, let me read a statement Nsoatreman have issued.
Man, I don't want you to hear Nsoatreman's statement.
At least it gives people, you see, because somebody may tune and wonder what are we even talking about.
Okay.
So, if you can read it for us, Caleb.
Yes, please. Nsoatreman Football Club extends its profound condolences to the entire Ghanaian sporting fraternity, particularly Kumasi Asante Kotoko and the family of the deceased supporter who tragically lost his life near Professor Amua Kuramansan II Stadium during a league game against the Kumasi-based Giants this afternoon. Initial reports gathered suggest that an altercation ensued between two supporters outside the stadium. We have been informed that an argument had earlier happened between the deceased and the culprit at a nearby drinking spot that later brought up this stabbing incident behind the stadium. The altercation degenerated into fisticuffs, leading to a stabbing of the deceased. Nsoatreman FC wishes to categorically condemn this act of violence and he goes on to say
in no uncertain terms. Thank you. In the game of football is not war, and as such anyone who visits any stadium anywhere in this country must feel safe and indeed must be safe throughout the proceedings of the game. Nsoatreman FC will fully cooperate with the Ghana Police and the GFA to ensure that the perpetrator of this crime is brought to justice. We urge all stakeholders to exercise restraint and support the relevant authorities as they conduct a thorough investigation into this rather regrettable incident. So the version is suggesting this happened
outside the stadium. Yes, please.
We will leave that to the authorities. You see, I have information that says otherwise, but it is not my place. You understand? I will not turn myself into a court here this morning.
Was there police there? Do we know?
Yes, it's a Category A game. There will be policemen there.
I'm told from the news that they've asked the head of the GFA Security Task Force to present a report.
What would he do?
I don't know.
What's he going to do?
GFA security team.
Yes, but the point I'm making is, Bernard, before you even get there, the stabbing did not happen in a dark alley. The stabbing happened in the open. Police has never moved alone. If there's an altercation, have you seen a Ghanaian altercation where there are no witnesses? There are no people in the stadium, in a stadium facility, in the vicinity of a stadium. So nobody saw where after he was stabbed, nobody held somebody down. Questions must be asked. You can't just do that and run away.
Kotoko also has a statement, but go for it.
If you can read that first.
Read the Kotoko statement as well.
So, official statement, Asante Kotoko on tragic events at Nsoatreman. Asante Kotoko strongly condemns the violent and unacceptable incidents that marred our Ghana Premier League match week 19 fixture against Nsoatreman FC at the Nanakra Mansa Park. From the moment of our arrival at the stadium, our team was subjected to open hostility, including confrontations from sections of the home supporters. Despite these provocations, we remained committed to fair competition and proceeded with the game in a spirit of sportsmanship. Unfortunately, the actions of the home crowd throughout the match were completely unacceptable. Missiles were thrown at our bench on multiple occasions, creating an unsafe environment for our players and officials. The situation escalated further when our head of media suffered a serious ear injury after being struck by an object. Additionally, in a shocking act of aggression, some supporters invaded the pitch and physically attacked our goalkeeper, Mohamed Kamara, while also hurling missiles at him. Beyond the events on the field, reports indicate that media personnel and supporters who traveled from Kumasi to cover and support our team were also attacked. Tragically, one of our supporters who was stabbed during the violence has succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. This senseless loss of life is devastating. And we extend our deepest condolences to his family, friends, and the entire Asante Kotoko fraternity. Furthermore, the violent scenes resulted in extensive damage to valuable equipment belonging to our club. Laptops, communication devices used by our technical team, and other essential audio-visual gadgets were all destroyed in the chaos. This level of destruction is unacceptable and further highlights the urgent need for stronger security measures at league venues. Despite these grave security breaches, and because of our firm belief in fairness and the integrity of the competition, we continued and completed the game. Nevertheless, it is deeply troubling that such acts of hooliganism persist in our league, endangering players, officials, media personnel, and supporters. Asante Kotoko will fully cooperate with the Ghana Football Association in any investigations and expect swift and firm action to be taken against those responsible. Football must be played in a secure and fair environment, and these acts of violence must not be tolerated. We call on all stakeholders to take decisive steps to ensure the safety of all teams, officials, and supporters as we remain resolute in our pursuit of professionalism and fair play. Signed, Management, Asante Kotoko SC.
So Kotoko is calling for investigation. Nsoatreman said they are willing to cooperate with the police. What is the GFA saying before we bring you Tekken?
Well, the GFA says in a statement released 10 hours ago that the Ghana Football Association strongly condemns the act of violence and lawlessness that marked the Ghana Premier League match between Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Nsoatreman FC on 2nd February 2025 at Nana Kromansa Park. The tragic events resulted in the loss of life, several injuries, and the destruction of property, an unacceptable blemish on the integrity of our game. The GFA extends its deepest condolences to the family of the deceased and wishes a swift recovery to those injured. The Executive Committee of the GFA has with immediate effect invoked Article 14.2 of the Premier League regulations by banning the use of the Nsoatreman FC home venue until further notice. This action ensures the safety of all stakeholders while investigations proceed. Furthermore, the GFA has tasked the Security Committee led by DCOP Lydia Donko and the FA prosecutors to immediately move to site and gather all necessary evidence, including match reports and relevant documentation, to present to the FA's disciplinary committee for adjudication of all sporting matters. Additionally, the GFA has formally engaged the Ghana Police Service to immediately conduct a full-scale investigation into the incident and bring all perpetrators to justice. We expect law enforcement agencies to deploy all necessary tools to ensure that those responsible for these heinous acts are identified, arrested, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The GFA reminds all clubs, players, officials, and supporters that there is zero tolerance for acts of violence, intimidation, and hooliganism in Ghana football. The GFA will not hesitate to impose severe sanctions on any club, official, or supporter found culpable of engaging in or inciting such behavior. Further updates on this matter, including decisions from the GFA disciplinary committee and law enforcement investigations, will be communicated in due course.
GFA said they have invoked Article 40 something.
Article 14.2.
14.2
to shut down the stadium
of the
of Nsoatreman.
What's the most important thing that needs to happen in your view?
Well, I think that in order to forestall these things, put in place standards. The GFA has always said it has standards with this licensing departments. Before a club is licensed, you must be able to do A, B, C, D. So the question then becomes, how does somebody enter the facility with a knife? If those things are to be in place, how did the game get so out of hand yesterday with the several altercations that we saw between fans, players? How were the fans able to get access to the inner perimeter, for instance, to be able to engage? Who was in charge of the game? The match commissioner. At what point could he have determined that this environment was unsafe for playing football? Why did he allow the game to continue even in that state? Okay, so it's just the general outlook of what we consider a safe playing environment that for football that needs to change.
Can the sports minister do anything? Has he been sworn in yet?
No, he hasn't been sworn in.
Do you think he should get involved in this, or this is more a security?
Definitely, because the facility is not a private facility, you see, and that's why I've always told you this. The facilities are state owned, either through from the NSA through to the municipal assemblies. Okay, so you do have a say on what goes on there. And the GFA has its own standards. But I'm saying that the state can also legislate and say, for football facilities or sporting facilities, this is what it must look like before we allow you to operate. So the GFA has its licensing regime, the state has its licensing regime. if you don't meet the state's licensing regime, you don't even cross to the GFA's licensing regime.
Is this an isolated incident in terms of the
lack of security?
Yes.
No, it's common. It's fairly common.
So it just so happens that this one led to somebody's death.
Yes, exactly. There have been several incidents of thuggery across the various divisions.
Are there any stadiums notorious for this?
I don't want to put any stadium on at the moment.
Okay,
but there are several incidents
Mm-hmm.
strewn across this country where on any given day you can get your ears boxed out for saying the wrong thing.
In a stadium that you're going to watch a game.
Exactly.
Do people even go to park these days?
No, not as much as they used to. So there are certain places that get good crowds, certain places that don't. But
so this is
generally, fans going to the stadium to watch games is in decline.
And this is not going to help at all.
No.
Either.
I mean, if Bernard, are you taking which of your sons are you taking to the stadium?
We went to the Legom Stadium to watch a friend is saying All Africa games.
No, I mean a Ghana Premier League match. Which stadium? Outside of if it's not the University of Ghana stadium.
If they play a good as a full game at Legon's Park, we could go.
No, not Legon. I'm saying outside.
I won't go anywhere else.
Why? There are good games elsewhere.
I don't know the nature of the stadiums.
Aha.
What's the best stadium you've in Ghana today to watch a football game?
In terms of what?
Crowd safety, in terms of comfort, in terms of
University of Ghana Stadium.
Serious?
Yes.
What's the state of Accra Sports Stadium?
Oh. In terms of what?
Everything.
The pitch looks good.
What about Kumasi?
The pitch looks good.
Okay. I hear you.
That's what I said. Kofi Adams has a lot of work to do.
So we don't even have the stadiums themselves can do better.
Yes.
Facilities and things.
Absolutely. The state has a significant responsibility in all this, in setting the standards. It should lead the way. If it leads the way, everybody else will follow.
What about Galka? Is this something they should be talking about? Or this is more GFA?
Galka.
No, I heard they said they will revive it.
Who's reviving what?
Somebody gave an interview last week and said that they will revive Galka.
There's nothing to revive. Galka is dead.
Are you sure?
There's nothing to revive.
Galka
exists in name.
But we have league clubs.
What do they do?
So the association can be revamped if you have good leadership. Once there are clubs, they can be. Galka is potential.
The clubs live in this system that they themselves have created. Don't they see?
They just need good leadership.
This is the Ghana League Clubs Association. Which leadership again?
Maybe one of the executives who takes over can then unite them.
No, these are the clubs. The clubs that constitute.
What's the difference between Galka and GFA?
The GFA is the umbrella body
of all football matters.
Everything.
And Galka is the league club.
The league clubs.
But without the league clubs, there's no football association.
No, there are constituent bodies.
Like which one?
So we have the services, schools. All of them are constituent bodies of the Ghana Football Association.
But the league clubs are key.
Yes, which is why I'm saying if the league clubs had lived up to their responsibility as league clubs, we would not have the situation we have. The league clubs have become entities that exist to just play football and not run a football business or industry. They just show up. Other than that, there is no proper football owner who should be happy with the current state that we find our football. Nobody makes money. What kind of business enterprise is that?
They sell players.
To who? Who is selling players where?
They are selling them to
Bernard,
the
Spanish
second division teams.
Bernard, the sales are coming from Division 2, Division 3.
They are not selling from the Premier League.
The sales are not coming from the Ghana Premier League.
Oh, really?
Yes. And even with those ones, the money takes a while to come. So
let's listen to Joel Kofi Jampo, PRO of the Nsoatreman Football Club, speaking on CNR yesterday.
I think what happened today during our game against Kumasi Asante Kotoko was just an unfortunate incident that happened. Well, we knew we were going into a game that would be a tough game, and though we knew in as much as it was going to be tough, we'll fight hard to win. Then after our win, we will celebrate because it's been long we've had a win. And just to end the game and have the news that we had one Kotoko supporter who lost his life, unfortunately, while the game was going on. So I think this is what actually happened. But then I also heard you initially talking about some scuffles that happened on the field of play. But then I'm happy you made mention that players were involved in the scuffle. Yes. So that was what actually happened.
Well, we've seen the videos of the players involved in that scuffle. But we're also told that outside the stadium, your supporters attacked supporters of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, leading to the stabbing to death of one of the supporters. Are you aware of this?
Well, as I said earlier, we only heard about a death situation, even as the game had ended. So, whatever happened behind the stadium, at least once we were watching the game and focused on the game, we wouldn't definitely know what was going on outside the stadium. So, the incident actually happened in the stadium. See, let me clear something here. I've heard people talking about a video circulating that the incident happened in the stadium. I'm talking about the stabbing.
Okay.
But then, what we have gathered as Nsoatreman Football Club, we have a VIP session, and the incident happened outside the VIP session.
Okay.
That is outside the stadium. So that was when a driver picked the guy after he was stabbed, trying to rush him to the polyclinic in Nsoatre. So along the line, we don't know what happened. Someone shouted that there was an ambulance in the inner perimeter or at the stadium. So they should rather call on the ambulance to come and take the victim to the hospital. So just when the guy had got down from the trachea to go and pick the ambulance, and then he fell down in the stadium. So that was when people got a video of it and now circulating that look, he was caught in the stadium. But if eyewitnesses will tell you the truth, the incident actually happened in the stadium, but then later he tried to go inside to get an ambulance to carry him to the hospital. That was when people got a video.
Now, Kotoko is also accusing your supporters of throwing missiles at their bench. Now, that raises questions of safety. Is your stadium safe for Ghana Premier League games?
Yeah, it's very safe, my brother. Because talking about missiles, we never saw anything like that. I don't know if in the video you are seeing something. I'm yet to see some of these videos. And those missiles they are talking about, we never saw it. I was inside the stadium throughout, from the start of the game to the end of the game, and I never saw any missiles being thrown at Kotoko and the officials. So we were very surprised when we had the news that look, Kotoko had released a statement and accusing us of attacking them, throwing missiles at them, and even to the extent of having destroyed their laptops and other gadgets. Oh, it's not true, my brother. It's not true, because I was actually there. And that is why I want you to understand that, look, there are certain incidents that happened that some of us were there to witness. But then what happened outside the stadium, some of us, because we were so focused on the game, we couldn't have seen whatever happened outside. So with that, I can't really talk much about what happened outside the stadium. But talking about the missiles and the destroying of gadgets of Kotoko, I can boldly and confidently tell you that, look, nothing of that stuff happened. Maybe they're only trying to make their story look so interesting to the public.
All right. Finally, before you go, I've seen people make comments that the entire Ghana Premier League should be put on hold. This matter investigated, and others also that have happened in the past investigated, and then matters of safety also be looked at before the league resumes. What do you think?
Another, we've lost a life, and that's a precious life, because we in the football industry are aware of people like Kotoko and for that matter, Ghana football. So we've lost a dear soul. And I think some of us join in hands with those people calling for a hold on the league for investigations to go on. But I'm also telling you and your viewers that even as I'm talking to you now, we have the management of the club at the police station having a complaint officially to let the police carry on with their investigation. And we had a session of policemen who are around at the stadium. And I know they will assist in this investigation. Going forward, I know that definitely things will be sorted out. And our joining. So I think if the leaders of football think that it is right to keep the league on hold for investigations to go on whatever, I think I side with them. But then to talk about safety, I think Nsoatreman and Amansa Park is very safe for active football, my brother. It's just an incident that let us come to declare all these things. An incident you can't actually separate from the club, but then you can't also blame the club.
So that was Joel Kofi Jempe, PRO of Nsoatreman. So a lot of this will be sort of followed up on throughout the day.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this.
Yes.
Like I said, we also expect the sports minister, first real task for him.
First real task
you
for
see,
him.
because here's the thing. We should not normalize loss of life. We are a country that tends to normalize loss of life.
Particularly at a football match.
Yeah. That is why he must deal with this matter thoroughly and make sure that systems have been put in place to ensure that it does not repeat itself, that whoever needs to be punished is punished properly. This is not just a GFA matter. GFA can only impose sporting sanctions.
Criminality involved has to be dealt with by the police.
Has to be dealt with, and the minister must insist that the police do its job well. The minister must insist that Nsoatreman, as a football club, provide every single bit of evidence that they can, every kind of support to give closure to the family of Francis Frimpong.
So you've been following this on the sports desk. Anything else to add before we move to the next?
No, I think Godfred is one of our seniors on the sports desk. He said they all really really where it's reached now. And to go back to the fans, this has been coming. If we are being honest, there's too much fan violence in our league.
Wow.
There's too many.
Even with a few people going to watch.
There's too much. Sometimes they are throwing stones at a bus. They are doing this. They are doing that. And the problem is now the teams start to retaliate against each other. So one team does it, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll meet you
when you
come to our exactly." So there's just too much, and it's just like this is at this point, if we can't look at it and say that we've gone too far at this point, and we need to review the fan culture in the Ghana Premier League, it will never change, because we should have done it a long time ago. We've let it keep getting worse, and now someone has paid the ultimate price, because people have been injured before, people have gone to hospital before.
Wow.
Property has been damaged, you haven't done anything. Now we have to do something. So I think in terms of the fan and the stadium experience, I think the police and the GFA, they need to collaborate a lot more seriously. The GFA needs to get serious about security, because the security is one of the biggest issues at Ghana Premier League games. How is it that they are always finding stones to throw?
How did they get those
How
things
they are
into the
always
stadium?
finding their way to the bus to destroy it. These things is happening.
We are destroying Ghana football.
It's happening.
Destroying, or we have
It has been destroyed. Right now they are feeding on the carcass.